Hi everybody, welcome back to Fossman Media. So today we're going to be going over how to encrypt files on your system, specifically your passwords. This video is intended for anyone who is uncomfortable trusting their passwords and other sensitive information with a third party in some pretend cloud somewhere, and maybe looking for a way to store it locally on your own system in a safe way. Two tools we'll be having a look at today to help us accomplish this will be GPG, which stands for the GNU Privacy Guard, and mcrypt. And if you want to read more about them, you can just hop over their website here. This is the one for GNUPG, located at gnupg.org. Tons of good information here. I'll scroll down a bit. Release dates, a ton of documentation, including manuals, guides, how-tos, frequently asked questions, pretty much anything you could ever need. And even if you go over the manuals here, they offer them both in HTML and PDF in case you want to download it, which is nice. And yeah, lots of good stuff here. Well, unfortunately, as far as mcrypt goes, whether it's because it's no longer supported or being developed, they've also dropped their website. But all I could find was their manual page at php.net. And if you want to read more about it, you can do so here. Certainly a great little tool. It's unfortunate to see it go, but these things just happen, I guess. Hasn't been developed for a while. But I thought I would just include that in this video, and maybe I'll just tack it on the end, and just in case you want to add it to your arsenal as well. And I think for now we'll just go back to GPG, play around with it, and then we'll do the same with mcrypt at the end here. So I'll just go back over the terminal, and we can dive in a bit here. So you can see I ran the apt show command on mcrypt, GPG, and GNUPG. So I figured we could just have a quick read, and then we can jump in and start using the tools. So the one thing that did kind of concern me about mcrypt, when I ran this command, was this message down here. And it says, please know this package is buggy and unmaintained by the upstream authors. If you can, please look for other implementations, such as OpenSSL, GNU-TLS, and GNUPG. Which brings me to GPG. And that's this guy right here. It says the GNU Privacy Guard, minimalist public key operations. The GNU Privacy Guard is GNU's tool for secure communication and data storage. It can be used to encrypt data and to create digital signatures. It includes an advanced key management facility and is compliant with the proposed OpenPGP Internet Standard as described in the RFC 4880. This package contains GPG itself and is useful on its own only for public key operations, encryption, signature verification, listing OpenPGP certificates, etc. If you want full capabilities, including secret key operations, network access, etc., please install the GNUPG package, which pulls in the full suite of tools. And that's what I've done down here. My main reason for installing the full package was the install size. So if we look right here, the install size is 741 kilobytes for GNUPG, and that's the full suite. And then we have just the tool, GPG, and its install size is about 1500 kilobytes. So I'm not sure what's going on here, whether these were just switched or what happened. But either way, when I installed both tools, the GNUPG didn't take up much room at all as compared to the GPG. So I would just suggest going with the full suite of tools. But to each their own, either will work just fine for what we're doing today. So to check if you have them installed, you can use this command right here, the apt search command. And if you have it installed, you'll see installed automatic listed right beside them, as it should be installed by default on most Linux systems. And another way you can check too is to run the -- version command. And that will also give you a list of algorithms that are available for us to use to encrypt our files. And those are right here. So I think there's 11 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, about 11. And then up here with mcrypt, we have about 20 different algorithms. So even though mcrypt doesn't support it anymore, I do still like to keep it around because it does have a few other algorithms in there that are not included with GPG. But for most purposes, or in most cases, I just stick with GPG these days just to be on the safe side. In case there is some kind of security patch or something that doesn't end up finding its way into the package because it's not still maintained. But yeah, with all that said, let's start using GPG and we'll encrypt some passwords. And before I do that, let's clear out the terminal. And to get a list of commands, we just use the help command. So that's gpg --help. And there's a handful of flags that we need to grab here, or options. The first one that I see is the -C for symmetric file encryption, which will enable us to encrypt and decrypt the file with a passphrase. We'll need the -D flag to decrypt the file. And there's a couple more that we're going to need that I'm not seeing here. One of them is to prevent the system from caching the passphrase after we've entered it, which isn't always ideal, because that way if someone tries to open the file and they're on the same computer, they'll be able to open it without a passphrase. So we're going to want to prevent that. And also, too, if we want to choose a different algorithm other than the default, which I believe is AES, definitely plenty good enough for the average person's needs, but you never know if you ever want to change that. We'll definitely go through those. And yeah, I'm not seeing them here, so I think I'm just going to jump over the man page and look for them there. So command GPG and scroll down here. I think it's down pretty far. Yep, there's the first one. No-symkey-cache. We're going to need to use that. And the one to choose the algorithm. Press algo, cipher-algo right there. And that one will enable us to use a different algorithm other than the default. So yeah, those are the flags we're going to need. And with those, we can encrypt pretty much any file on our system the way we want. So I'll just get rid of this. Clear this. I was going to jump into my secret files directory here. And inside there are a file called passwords.txt. And I'm going to want to encrypt this file because it has all my passwords in it, and I want to be able to pull from it whenever I want and just leave the file on the system and prevent anyone else from being able to see it and read my passwords. So right now, if I use a cat command just to print out the contents, you can see it just spits out all my passwords. So to prevent this, we're going to want to encrypt it with GPG. And like we did before, I'm just going to use the help command to double check and see what that option flag is. And it's -C to encrypt it with symmetric encryption, which will allow us to do it with a passphrase instead of generating key pairs. And then we'll need the -D flag to decrypt it. So always use the command GPG -C passwords.txt. The only downfall to encrypting the file this way, though, is the system will cache the passphrase when we go to encrypt the file, which isn't great because if someone else jumps on the system after you, they'll be able to open it up and decrypt it without even being prompted for a passphrase at all. So, but I think for now what I'll do is I'll just run it like this just to show you. And then what we'll do is the next time we run it, we'll throw in that additional option, which will prevent the system from doing that in the first place. So let's hit enter for now and enter our password. That isn't password. And it'll ask you 2 times just to verify it. And now if I ls, we can see our encrypted file right there with the GPG extension on it. And if I try to cat it to view the contents, you can see we just get a bunch of gibberish. And there's no way anyone's going to be able to decipher anything out of that mess. And yeah, if we run the file command, we can see what algorithm we used. And there it is right there, AES 256 cipher, which should be plenty good for the average person's needs by far. But if you do require something different or just want to use a different algorithm, that just requires adding an additional flag or option onto the command that we just used. Super simple, and we'll do that too in a couple minutes here. But I think for now, let's clear the screen. Well, I guess now we can just go ahead and decrypt that file we just created. And then I can show you how the system caches that passphrase and how we can go about getting around that. And to decrypt the file, all we have to do is we have to swap out that -c flag with a -d. So we can just say gpg -d for decrypt passwords.txt.gpg. And as you can see, it just dumps the file out for us without even prompting us for a password. And that's just because the system, when we originally encrypted the file, saved the passphrase into memory. So then when we go to decrypt it, and instead of prompting us for the password, it just grabs it right out of the cache, which can be a problem if you have multiple users on the same machine and you don't want them to see your passwords. Because you can see it did actually encrypt the file with the passphrase. We just unfortunately weren't prompted for it. But lucky for us, that's a really easy fix, as we can just add an additional flag or option right here with this command when we use the -c. And that'll avoid the system from saving that information altogether. So I think I'll just do that now. And before I do that, I'll just get rid of this file that we created. And now it's gone. So we can just say gpg -c, and then we'll need that additional flag, which is just a couple dashes, and then no, one more dash, and then symkey, one more dash, and then cache, just like so, and then the name of the file, and then enter, and then put in your passphrase. I didn't like that one because I didn't have a special character, but I'm just going to say take it anyways, and then put it in again. And there's our encrypted file right there. So maybe if we cat it, let me see, we got all our gibberish. And yeah, I guess now we can just go to decrypt it. So we can just say gpg -d this time for decrypt. And then we'll also need that passphrase too. So we say no symkey-cache, and the name of the file. And then it asks us for a passphrase. And there's our file right there. So that's how we get around the system from caching that passphrase. And yeah, it looks good. So I think maybe what I'll do now is we can just try a different algorithm. So right now we're using AES 256, which I'm sure is plenty good enough for just about everybody. But just in case you did want to use something different, we can certainly have a look at that. And maybe I'll just do that right now. So just to mention just one more last time, just don't forget to use this flag right here when you're encrypting and decrypting the file. Because even if you do use it to encrypt the file, if you don't use it, say if you decrypt the file on a different machine, it will cache that passphrase on that machine. So just don't forget that one flag there. And yeah, I think that about does it for that. So now we can just go ahead maybe and try a different algorithm. So let's clear this out. So to get a list of algorithms, we can just use the -- version command. So I just say gpg -- version. And there's our list right there. I've got at least a few to choose from. And at a quick glance here, I think I'm just going to maybe grab 2 fish and copy that. And then before we run this, I think I'm just going to get rid of this old file here that we created before. And now it's gone. So to encrypt the file with the different algorithm, we just use the exact same command that we did before with the -c, except this time we're just going to add one more additional flag. So you can just say gpg-c, and then we'll need the no-symkey-cache, and then we'll need the cipher-algo, and then the name of the algorithm, and then the name of the file. Oh, just txt. And then enter, and put in your passphrase. Oh, sorry, you're not getting a special character. And now else. There's our encrypted file right there. Let's clean this up a bit here. So if I run the file command, yeah, right there we get 2 fish. Exactly what we were hoping for. And I think now maybe what I'll do is maybe just try to cat it out. So see if we can read it. And yep, all gibberish. And next I think maybe we can just decrypt the file. So I'll just clear this. Can't type. And use GPG -d this time for encrypt. We need the no-symkey flag. -d, yep, no-symkey. And then the name of the file. And then enter, and put in your passphrase. And then we have our file. So yeah, all looks good. And I think what I'll do now maybe is just try that once more with a dummy value and just make sure it's not accepting any password. So let's hit enter and then throw in some gibberish there. And perfect, bad session key. So I think that about covers GPG. We went over how to encrypt a file, how to decrypt it, how to prevent the system from saving the passphrase, and how to use a different algorithm. There are additional things that you can do with GPG, such as to create signatures or pair keys and stuff like that. That's out of the scope for this video, as I just wanted to cover symmetric file encryption to cover password files and stuff like that. But there's definitely a lot more to explore and discover with GPG if you like. And yeah, definitely feel free to do that if you want to play around more with this great tool. But I think for us today for GPG, I think that about does it. And yeah, I think I'll just clear this now. And maybe we can just move on to mcrypt. And if you'd like to read more about it, you can actually just do so right here. And do that, you can just use the apt show command. So apt show mcrypt. And we already went over this little bit of unfortunate information down here at the bottom. So I think I'll just skip that. Maybe read the description quick and we'll jump into it. So mcrypt is a replacement for the old Unix crypt. It is a crypting program intended to be a replacement for the old Unix crypt, but it can do a lot more, since with its libmcrypt library, it can encrypt and decrypt the following algorithms. And we got quite a few here. I think I counted 25 before. So about twice as many as GPG. It's just this only offers symmetric file encryption is the difference there. And fairly lightweight too. The install size is only 209 kilobytes and 63.4 for the download. So definitely a lightweight tool that can do quite a bit for us. And if you want to check if you have it installed, you can say apt search mcrypt. And as you can see, I already have it installed down here at the bottom. But if that wasn't the case for you, one more way you can check, I guess, is just say mcrypt -- version. And if you have it, it'll return a version number for you. But if that wasn't the case, it's very, very easy to install. To do that, you just say sudo apt install mcrypt, and that'll put it on your system. And once you do have it, to get the list of options that are available to you, you can just use the help command. So you just say mcrypt --help. And that'll return a list of available options we can use. So the first one I'm seeing, I guess, is the -D for decrypt. And because mcrypt uses symmetric file encryption as its default, we actually don't have to specify or use a flag to encrypt the file. We can just run it as is, and everything will work out just fine. We'll just need the -D flag to decrypt it. And in case we want to use a different algorithm, we can use the -list command right here. That will give us a full list of available algorithms. And then after we found that one that we want to use, we just have to use the -A right here. And that will allow us to use that algorithm. So we need the -D, the -A, and the --list. And we should be good. So I'll just clear this. And I think what I'm going to do now is just move that passwords.txt.gpg file that we created earlier into the encrypted directory that you see I have on the left there. And hopefully that'll just prevent me from mixing stuff up. And we should be good to go now. So to encrypt our passwords.txt file, we can just use the mcrypt command as it is. We don't need to add any additional flags, options, or anything like that. Because I think I mentioned earlier that mcrypt uses symmetric encryption by default. So it's automatically expecting to use a passphrase to encrypt and decrypt the file. So when we want to change the algorithm, like we looked at before, we just have to use the -A flag. But I think for now, I'm just going to use the defaults. So that way we can encrypt the file, see what it creates, and then just go from there. So to do that, we can just use the command mcrypt. And all we need to do is just type mcrypt, and then the name of the file. And enter. And then put in your passphrase. And it says the file was decrypted. And maybe we'll have a look. And there it is right there. And just take note of the .nc extension. When we use GPG, it was obviously .gpg. But when we use mcrypt, it's .nc. And if we run the file command, we can see it was encrypted with that algorithm. I just don't ask me to pronounce it though. I have no idea. But that is the default. And it says 128 bits, so I imagine it's fairly strong. But yeah, we can definitely try another one though. And yeah, maybe now we can just try to open it up and see if we can see what it looks like. And yeah, just a bunch of nonsense like we got before with GPG. So definitely did what we wanted to do. So I guess now maybe we can just try to go ahead and decrypt it. So let's clear this. And to do that, we can just use the -D flag. But encrypt's a little bit different when it decrypts the file. I kind of think of it as an archive. When each time you decrypt a file, it's like it almost recreates it or it extracts it. And it's a little bit different from GPG because when we decrypted the file with GPG, it just opened it up right away. But with encrypt, it kind of just recreates it. So if we try to decrypt this file right here, it would actually ask us if we want to overwrite this one right here, because that's what this one was originally named. And this one already exists within this directory. Because if it's GPG, it would just open the file right up as soon as you decrypt it. But here it's going to ask us if we're going to want to overwrite it. So I think what I'll do is I'll just show you both ways, and then you'll understand exactly what I mean. So if we just say mcrypt -D and then passwords .txt.nc, hit enter, it'll ask us if we want to overwrite the file, right? Because it already exists. So I think for now I'm just going to say yes, and then put in password. And it says it was decrypted. So you can see everything kind of just looks exactly the same. And yep, because it just overwrote the file. So I think what I'll do this time is I'll just use the rm command and just remove this file right here. And then I'll just rerun the command I just did. And then you should be able to see the difference. So I'll say rm passwords.txt. Now if I ls, it's gone. So now we say mcrypt -d passwords.txt.nc and then enter. We're not given a warning or anything that we're going to overwrite the file because it doesn't exist in this directory anymore. So we can just throw in the password. It says it was decrypted. Yeah, and there it is right there. So we can see it decrypted successfully, and it's kind of like it extracted, I guess. So if, yeah, let's just try to view the command. Yeah, we can see we have all our passwords there. And I think what I'll do now maybe is just try a different algorithm. And before I do that, I'll just get rid of this passwords file again. And that wasn't very smart. We actually needed that file because we were going to try to encrypt it with a different algorithm. I got rid of the wrong one. No big deal. We can just decrypt this one over again. So I'll say mcrypt -d passwords.txt.nc. Yeah, and there's our file again. So I'll just get rid of the write file this time and just say rm. Like so. So now we're just left with our passwords.txt. And then to get a list of algorithms, we can just use the -- list command. So we can say mcrypt -- list. Yeah, which gives us quite a few. So you can just pick any one of these you want. I think I'm just gonna maybe try arc4. So I'm just gonna copy that and then go down here and then just say mcrypt and -a, choose an algorithm, and then I'm just gonna paste that one I just copied and then the name of the file and enter, and then your passphrase. It says the file was encrypted, and ls, and there it is. I'm going to run the file command, see what, make sure it encrypted it with the algorithm we chose. And yeah, it says it was encrypted with arc4. And yep, that's how you would choose a different algorithm. So I think what I'll do now maybe is just try to read the file. Yeah, and nobody's gonna decipher anything out of that, that's for sure. And yeah, maybe now we can just decrypt it. So let's just say mcrypt. And it's going to ask us to overwrite that passwords.txt, so I'm just going to get rid of that. So now we just have our encrypted file. So we can say mcrypt -d passwords.txt.nc and throw in the password. And there's our passwords.txt back. So now if I try to cat it, yep, we have our passwords. So all looks good. And I think what I'll do now, maybe just get rid of this passwords.txt for good practice. And now we're just left with our encrypted files. So as far as symmetric file encryption goes, I think that about covers it for this video. It was a fairly long one, but we did cover GPG, mcrypt, a couple great tools that can help you encrypt files on your system. and hopefully help to rid you of password managers or go towards some kind of good cause like that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you on the next one. Bye for now.